Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN OutLap, episode 32. It is January the 24th, 2022. My name's Rob Howden, joined in the EKN online studio by David Cole, the managing editor of the website. And as you know, our OutLap podcast, all designed to preview an upcoming event as part of the EKN Trackside live program. And the event we'll talk about today, the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas, January 28th to 30th out in Tucson, Arizona. We'll jump into that quickly. First off, though, let me introduce our presenting sponsor for today's podcast, Acceleration Kart Racing. Acceleration Kart Racing has everything you need to go racing, from tires to helmets. They have a great website for you to order from, and kart racers ready to pick up the phone and answer your questions 6 days a week. With over 20 years of kart racing under their belts, Acceleration Kart Racing has the experience to help you succeed on the track. You can rely on them to get the parts you need when you need them. Make Acceleration Kart Racing your go-to source for everything karting. Head to www.shopakr.com. All right, David Cole, episode 32 of the EKN OutLap, our second for the 2022 season. The SuperKarts USA Winter Series got their opener in the books at the start of January. Here we are at the end of the month. We're on a plane on Thursday. We're going west. It's time to get things underway with the Challenge of the Americas.
Yeah, excited to start off their 15th season. Again, a historic moment for the program, Andy Saisman and his entire crew. Again, returning to what is probably one of the most competitive racetracks we have in North America.
Yeah, big fan of Musselman Honda Circuit, the track in Tucson, Arizona, as I mentioned off the top of the podcast here. January 28th to 30th, this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. First two rounds of it will be a 6-round championship program, races in January, February, and March. But David, you now talk about it, all the lead up, right? With the outlap, the preview all weekend long. The track in Tucson, the Musselman Honda Circuit, is just one of the most competitive. There's at least 5 or 6 places to overtake, maybe more. Almost every corner you can make a pass. It's just such a high-speed flowing racetrack. I absolutely love this track.
Yeah, 0.8 of a mile, 13 turns. We will go in the clockwise direction. I don't think we've seen this in the counterclockwise direction with Challenge in Americas. Maybe we have. I'm trying to recall, but I don't recall that ever really happening. Maybe possibly it was with another program. But yeah, it's a replica of the Suzuka track in Japan. Again, as you said, multiple different passing opportunities around the track itself. And again, nothing really tight, nothing that's going to slow you down, like a first gear corner for the shifters. So a good flowing racetrack that, again, multiple passing opportunities and still very quick racetrack with 2 super long straightaways. This is the 8th time that the series has visited Tucson. And the first time being back in 2012, which was also the first time that EKN Live presented the Challenge of the Americas over our EKN Live website. And of course, obviously now with all the different apps that we have as well, too. So continuing our long run with the Challenge of the Americas this weekend.
You caught me off guard there a bit. I didn't know that we were going clockwise. I thought we normally go counterclockwise at that track where we come down.
Oh, you're right. Yes, it is a counterclockwise. Yeah.
You caught me off guard. I was like, what?
Sorry, I had it backwards. Yep.
We go counterclockwise. You literally the whole time I'm like, I can't remember calling a race going the other direction.
Again, I wrote that wrong. It happens, you know. Again, you get depending on which way you look at the racetrack, it kind of just confuses you, I guess.
Well, all I know is you confuse this 53-year-old mind. I was like, what the hell? Hold on. Wait, what? All right. So counterclockwise. Yeah. All right. Down the back straightaway, through the little left, right, onto the front straight. Got it. And again, as you mentioned, a replica of the Suzuka track in Japan. Smooth track, fast. And you mentioned, I love that. First time back in 2012 was our first EKN Live event with Challenge. That's great. David, what's the event schedule look like? Are they on track Wednesday and Thursday?
I just was able to open up the schedule when I wrote the script. We didn't have the actual daily schedules printed up, but I believe they have unofficial practice Wednesday and Thursday run by the racetrack itself. Obviously, a number of teams take part in that. It provides opportunity to get, not have to deal with the whole weekend and then coming back and just staying there for the whole week. Excuse me. So officially, the event begins Friday. We will have 5 rounds of practice. We have 3 8-minute sessions to begin the day. Then we'll go to lunch, and then we'll have a fourth round, which will be 12 minutes long. And then the pre-qualifying session, which will be the last session for every category at 17 minutes each. And again, the hot pit is open for those sessions. So that's the exciting time period, especially on Friday. We get to see guys come in, go out, make some laps, and then come back in and make changes and go back out. And a number of them do one stop, some might do multiple stops. It's a really cool way to kind of see how people address the session. That is very unique, especially in our sport.
Yeah. Aside, David, from just being really good for the actual teams themselves, being able to come in, make a change, go back out, as opposed to having to wait. Come in, make a change, you wait through the rotation, you go back out to see if it works. Immediate change, good for the drivers to be able to feel what the cart's different, whatever decide they make the change they make. But also, it makes it really exciting for us. It gives us something really to focus on Friday afternoon.
It does. And so now going into Saturday and Sunday, one round will be each day. So Saturday will be round 1. We have an 8-minute qualifying session that follows up the warm-up to begin the day. Pre-mains will be 14 laps. Mini and the micro divisions will run 11 laps each. And then the main events will be 20 laps and 16 laps for those mini and micro divisions. So again, round 1 on Saturday, and then repeat everything again on round 2 for Sunday.
Yeah, again, as we said, the opening 2 rounds of the 6-round program. We're back at it in Phoenix in February and Sonoma in March, but this will get things underway in Tucson, Arizona. Speaking of getting things underway, that's what we've got going so far here with the EKN OutLap. When we get back after this quick break, we're going to look at the numbers, because it's interesting to see how things are. It's a different approach to the start of the season, different venue. We'll look at the numbers that we had last year and the numbers that we have this year at the opening round of the challenge. Are you ready to step up your game? If so, joining the Rawlson Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups, and we're focused on developing cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlson Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in both IAME and ROC competition. We also have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlson Performance Group. We race to win. You can buy all the latest and greatest products on the market, but when you're karting to win, it boils down to one thing: you, the driver. Gain the knowledge and abilities by investing in yourself at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, and you'll find those extra tenths of a second you need to put yourself on the podium. The school was established by SuperKarts USA Hall of Fame driver Alan Rudolph, with decades of victories and championships in multiple forms of the sport, including other disciplines of racing. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, located at the Speed Sports Racing Park in the metropolitan Houston area, is designed to teach driving skills at all levels. The instructors of the Academy have decades of racing experience and educating drivers of all ages. Classes at the Academy will teach the concepts and skills needed both behind the wheel and off the track. From the beginning kart racing experience and intro to karting courses, to their advanced 1-day and 2-day courses and karting clinics, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy can improve the skills of any driver. For more information on the specific programs that the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy can provide for you, head to speedsports.com and click on the Racing Academy page. Be sure to follow the Academy on social media by searching for Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 32 of EKN OutLap, our preview podcast. Myself, Rob Howden, and David Cole taking a deep dive into what we're going to see this coming weekend at the Challenge of the Americas opener in Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. David, you can give me some. Well, we'll look at that. Yeah, I don't think we have that in there. We need to look at the weather.
I have it pulled up right now.
Well, let's start with that. What are we looking at?
It's going to be in the low 70s. 68 is the high for Friday. The lows, however, will be 39 degrees on Friday, and then 41, and then 40 on Sunday. So a little bit chilly overnight.
Yeah.
But sunshine, 0% chance of any precipitation. It looks like it's going to be sunny. Mostly sunny on Sunday, partly cloudy on Saturday, and then mostly sunny on Friday.
We'll take it. Obviously, you can do winter series racing in Florida. You can do winter series racing in the West. Do you see what Sebring was like this morning? It's frost on the ground.
Yeah, Florida is not getting the proper weather for the winter right now.
No, they are definitely not. David, let's look at the numbers, and it's interesting. We talked to Andy Saisman. We did a face-to-face with Andy. That's available on the YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, the podcast will, of course, be out as well. One of the things, Tucson's always been the lowest number, the kind of lowest turnout each year that they do go to Tucson. As Andy had said, there's really only 4 tracks that can house a Challenge of the Americas event on the west, in the Southwest. I think Tucson, Phoenix, Cal Speed, and Sonoma. So they try to like to cycle it out. Tucson's such a favorite racetrack, but it just doesn't always draw the numbers. And we've been talking to Andy over the last couple of years since he made the move from Rotax to the Rock, and always focus on that maybe 10% improvement, 10% increase in growth every year. David, last year they launched the Phoenix Kart Racing Association. The Phoenix track, it normally has a pretty good draw. They had 130 entries at that event. 119 right now pre-entries coming into the race at Tucson. Last time we were here at Tucson was pre-COVID, before the COVID-19 pandemic actually shut everything down in March. 107 total entries. So already a 10% improvement from Tucson 2 years ago in 2020 to now. And with a couple of walk-up entries, there's a possibility it could get pretty close to where we were last year.
Yeah, and you typically see the walk-up entries at Challenge, especially the opening round. Some people are still kind of recovering from the end of the last season, and of course Christmas, and so you kind of got to regroup and get things situated. And some people are quicker than others to get on the bandwagon for the new season. So yeah, I think 15 is a good number for walk-ups that we typically have. So I would say 135 is a possibility, but for sure we should get to that 130 mark to help, kind of even the bar from last year's total number from the opening round.
Yeah, we talked about this when we chatted with Andy in the face-to-face. If he even equals what he had at Phoenix and gets to 130, that's a win considering the venue, because we had talked about that. Tucson's another 2 hours up the road. If you're coming from LA, you have to go through Phoenix to get to Tucson, and you end up, you end up going that extra 2 hours there and 2 hours back. So you're going to lose a couple of drivers occasionally. So all in all, if they do get to the 130, even at 119, as we said, already over a 10% improvement for what they had at Tucson in 2020. David, you and I always, every time we look at the numbers, we always look at the cadet classes, right? Because that's your future. Micro actually down a couple, 6 2 years ago, or 6 last year rather, at Phoenix, 4 in micro this weekend. Just haven't had the big growth in the micro category, the micro rock class, but a pretty solid field in mini rock, up 1 to 16 drivers. That'll be 8 rows of karters roll on this weekend. So I like the 16 number in mini rock.
Yeah, again, it's the graduation that you kind of have to deal with. Some drivers moving up to mini from micro already, and it's just getting that influx of new karters into the micro rock division. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we cover it. But yeah, you get the graduation, so that kind of juggles up the numbers a little bit in terms of what you're predicting and what's going on. And so to be stable, I think that's good. We had 21 last year, and now we're at 20. So you're only really losing 1, and you never know about the graduating from mini up to junior ranks too. Yeah. So it's a good stability. You much rather see, maybe 1 or 2 up or down, but not that, drastic 5 or 10 going in the negative direction. One
of the things we'll talk about is, and we talked about it with Andy again in our face-to-face, the wild evolution of people racing participation in the 125cc liquid cooled tag categories. The junior and senior rock classes, same as last year, actually significantly less drivers just not coming out. Last year, they had 6 drivers in junior rock, just 2 entered for this weekend. In senior rock last year, 5, just 1 right now. Obviously, when you get down to those single digits, you're going to have trouble drawing. So literally 3 drivers in the junior and senior rock class. Good numbers at 100cc. It seems that on the West Coast, David, at least in the Southwest, drivers, moving their way over to the air-cooled 100cc class.
Yeah, karting is about trends. There's a lot of different trends that have transpired over the decades of the sport, where it be, people prefer road racing to sprint. Now it's people prefer sprint compared to road racing. And, in the past, 100cc racing was king. That was like, if you were a 100cc winner on the West Coast, I mean, you were a god. You were, you were the Joey Hands. You were all the different drivers that just stood out, the Patrick Longs and all those type of drivers that were just, they were the people you wanted to beat anytime you went to a race. And in the past few years, 125 racing, CC racing has been that bar. There's been a number of drivers that have come up through the junior ranks to the senior ranks and have just been, superstars nationwide, let alone just the West Coast. So, who knows what has triggered that? If it's just the maintenance side of things, if it's just the easier drivability of the 100cc engine platform compared to the liquid cooled engine style, not quite sure, because it's not just rock, it's across the board. The touch and go 125 programs are dwindling on the West Coast.
Yeah, all but gone. You're right. Same thing with the SCUSA Pro Kart Challenge. They don't have a ton of drivers there either. And again, numbers breed numbers. We talk about that, right? And also numbers, I guess, feed numbers or whatever you want to say, because when there's not enough drivers, like I said, we had 5 and 6 last year. Now we have 1 and 2. It's just, you don't want to run a winter series against just 2 or 3 drivers. So that's interesting. Now the Masters Rock still holding station, and we'll talk about the Masters drivers. Here's some really good, really top talent. 9 drivers in total coming in the Masters category. Let's look at 100cc before we jump into the shifters, David. The 100cc senior class, not as big as it was last year at 31, but still 21 drivers. Juniors, though, David, almost double, 24 drivers in the junior 100cc category for Tucson.
Yeah, leading the way. Again, that's the trend. The kids come up from the mini ranks and move up to junior. Well, do you want to put them right into the 125 or keep them in the 100cc? Yeah. And I think a majority are just sticking with that 100cc package because, again, you can go from the VLR to the IAME. You have those 2 options to go with. And again, the numbers are there both at the club level, especially at the club level. You see more of the 100cc. And now we're seeing at the regional and national level, that's just kind of where all the numbers are, especially on the West Coast. But again, it's just, I think it has to do more with the ease of driving one of those and the maintenance side of things.
Yeah, I agree. 21 in the senior 100cc class, 24 in junior, 10 drivers in the Masters class for 100cc. Shifter-wise, the biggest growth in the shifter Masters class, going from 14 last year up to 18 drivers in Master Shifter, 14 in total in the shifter rock class. We had 20 last year, but you mentioned it before, 34 total shifters last year, 32 total shifters this year. A bit of a change in which percentage of Masters and senior, but still a pretty good field of shifters again with the Challenge of the Americas.
Yeah, that's been the key element for the program when it moved over to the rock platform was the shifter category. It kind of helped establish a base and kind of the growth of the program. And we're seeing, we're going to talk about a number of drivers that are moving over to shifter from either 100cc or the senior rock division.
I did one other note, David. We've been talking about this before about the Canadians potentially coming down now that the borders opened up a little bit. Not quite as many Canadians as I think we would have expected, but 5 in total running this coming weekend in Arizona.
Yeah, we were hoping to see double digits for sure in terms of the Canadians coming down. And really only one more than we had last year at PKRA. And the borders are open. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. If it's just still the hesitance to try and go across the border, Again, I'm not familiar with actual crossing the border, so I'm not sure. You do it through the air, so it's a little bit easier through that way.
Yeah.
But when you're hauling stuff down and what exactly has to transpire for that, we know Italian Motors obviously is still dealing with the flooding situation that they had at their home base there in Sumas. So that's kind of helped limiting the number of Canadians coming down there, because that could have been easily double digits with their race team coming down as well too. So,
agreed.
But again, it seems to be like rock is growing in Canada, especially on both coasts, and not quite sure why the racers aren't coming down to take part in the challenge.
Well, I think, when you get kind of a year off and people wonder what's going on, it has to reestablish. So hopefully, again, looking forward to some of the races, whether it's Phoenix or Sonoma, then on to the 2023 season. We'll see what happens. All right, folks, we're going to dive into this. Another quick break here in this podcast. When we get back, we're going to jump into Shifter Rock and Shifter Masters Rock, let you know which drivers we expect to see running up front. Don't go anywhere. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network.
Wins at the sport's biggest races and championships across all levels of karting make up the resume for Nitro Kart. The Nitro Kart has made its statement as the best, fastest, and most reliable cadet chassis on the North American karting market. The 2021 Cadet is the evolution of that success, featuring the latest development and components to put you at the front. If you want to win in Cadet, get a Nitro Kart and join the team. The Nitro Kart Cadet claimed 5 victories at the SCUSA Pro Tour, including the Mini Swift Championship in 2020. At the United States Pro Kart Series, Nitro Kart Cadet earned 5 wins and 14 podiums in mini and micro competition. For a second straight year, Nitro Kart won the U.S. Rotax Grand Nationals in the Minimax division, bringing the title total to 4 in 4 years. If you've seen it on track, it certainly caught your eye. Dominating the 4-cycle world is the Nitro Kart Lefty chassis. The chassis is designed for the Briggs & Stratton 206 engine with a left side mount for better weight distribution. The Lefty is available in cadet and full-size frames. The Nitro Kart Lefty won the CKNA Grand Nationals 4 in both sportsman and junior categories, with fast time in qualifying for the senior division. Drivers with the Lefty were ranked number 1 in the Briggs & Stratton Weekly Racing Series for junior and cadet divisions. Team Nitro Kart will be at all major events in 2021 with programs tailored to every driver's needs. Focused on driver development, the cadet program under Team Nitro Kart has helped develop some of today's stars, including Brent Cruz, Parker DeLong, Ben Mayer, and Spencer Conrad. Visit Nitro Kart online and find them on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to episode 32 of our EKN OutLap, our preview podcast looking at this coming weekend's Challenge of the Americas opener at Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. 14 entries, David Cole, lined up for the Shifter Rock category. And, I looked through it, and it's a really interesting lineup because we've seen some drivers moving up from tag racing into the shifter kart category. A couple guys we haven't seen before or seen in a while coming back. Really interesting. In fact, and a number of female racers with us as well.
Yeah, it's a good mix of different racers. Certainly, you have those that have the experience in the shifter kart category, especially returning champion Kyle Wick coming back. You have Hunter Pickett, a former champion as well, and then a former winner from last year as well too. So I think you got to look at those 2 drivers as probably the top guns coming into the new season, especially with the way the field kind of shakes out, because there's a number of drivers who are making their first starts in shifter karts. So it's kind of going to be those 2 that we'll be watching along with Jacob Gulick. I think all three drivers on the GFC tent are certainly have the experience, have the know-how, and will certainly be the benchmark for everybody else in the field.
Yeah, driver always looks pretty good and is an Arizona driver who's been on the racetrack before, Micah Hendricks. I look forward to seeing what Mike is going to be able to do. Hannah Greenmeyer as well, running with M Squared Karting. So it'll be Mike Beanie and Bonner Moulton running that program for Hannah. Jumping behind the wheel, the shifter kart again. I look forward to seeing if Hannah can get in there and fight with these veterans.
Yeah, she'll be leading, as you said, 3 female drivers in this field. So she'll be among those. Certainly coming in with the SCUSA Pro Tour championship of last year. So again, still trying to get that sense under the 6-speed 6-speed package that she'll be racing. One of those moving over from the tag and 100cc round crowd is Macy Williams. She was a race winner last year in 100cc action. She's moving over to the 6-speed fellow Colorado driver, racing under the CB Motorsports tent aboard an EOS chassis. So that'll be it'll be cool to see Macy make that transition, kind of as Hannah is still kind of making that transition, as she had only a very limited number of races last year in the shifter kart category.
Yeah, another driver we saw in the single speed category looked good over the last couple of years, Kyriakos Soukas with Alex Keys Racing. He's jumping up to the shifter kart ranks. Kyle Wick's brother Connor Wick in the fight as well. And a guy we haven't seen for a while, always good to see him come out because he's got a lot of speed, is Brian Keck. We've seen Brian, perform pretty well at the Super Nationals in past years. He'll be out running as well for his own Keck Racing team, another driver on a GFC.
Yeah, he probably has the most experience out of anybody in the field for sure.
Yeah, yep.
Probably getting close to that master's age, but still rocking it out there in the senior category. So, again, a unique field, a lot of different experience levels in the field. Again, some junior drivers moving up. Alex McPherson Winman, another driver who just ran his first time in a DD2 at the Rotax Grand Finals. So he's going to go from 1 speed to 2 speed to 6 speed.
3 winners from last year who aren't going to be here, which are a little bit of a surprise to me. We mentioned Remo Rossetti and the whole team from Italian Motors not coming down. Billy Musgrave ran in Florida, in the Florida Winter Tour, not going to be running this particular weekend, but was a winner last year. And the other is Aiden O'Neill. He and his dad, I don't think, are on the line. I'm not sure what happened to the O'Neills. They're not going to be with us here for the opener either.
Yeah, no, not sure. I'm assuming possibly more concentrating on car racing. We know Aiden was dipping a little bit into that more last year.
Patrick too, yeah, he likes to do some car racing. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
So could be a little bit more of a focus on that. But yeah, so again, Musgrave racing both SCUSA Winter Series and a Florida Winter Tour. So I guess he's spending his winter months in Florida this year instead of California.
Why not, right? Why not? Let's move now into the Shifter Masters Rock category. 18 pre-entries. Last year's champion coming back once again. That's Kevin Woods, who runs for Ron White Racing on the CRG. Winners from last year included Michael Valiente, Cliff Cuella, and Neil Joseph as well. Woods won 3 different times. Cuella's back. Cliff Cuella back for Pure Karting. He's back once again. We got Nick George and Nick Firestone back. It's a couple names that are coming back, David, that could make things pretty interesting.
Yeah, Cliff was a vice champion last year behind Kevin Woods, so it's good to see the top 2 returning from last year. Another returning driver we've seen at the series before, and we've seen in the Masters division a number of years, Jimmy McNeil. Great to see him back behind the wheel, getting aboard on the Luminos with Team Veleza. Going to get back into the mix of things. So I could expect him to see him in the mix. You got Nick Firestone, series regular that has finished top 3 a number of years. He'll be racing with GFC. Fernando Diaz, another familiar name as well too in the Masters ranks under the GFC under the Formula Works tent.
Yeah, a lot of GFCs, both with Gary's team and the Formula Works operation. Nick Firestone, you mentioned him, always very quick at Tucson. I expect him to be fighting up front. Nick George as well, a driver I think can be fast. Warren Kinberg's always shown some good speed too. It's a pretty solid lineup of 18 drivers. I'm looking forward to seeing how things shake down, especially in that extended practice on Friday afternoon, that hot pit session when guys can really dial things in. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be up front there.
Yeah, it could be a number of different drivers that we see, jumping around at the top of the order, because there's certainly a number of drivers that have the speed to be quick all weekend long.
Yeah, agree with you. And again, to have Kevin Woods back, the champion from last year, Cliff Cuella, who finished second, and then you throw Jimmy McNeil in to make it fun as well. This is going to be a really fun weekend for the drivers in the Shifter Masters Rock class. All right, let's jump to another quick break. When we get back, we'll talk single speed. We'll go the Senior Rock, Junior Rock, and Masters Rock category. Shouldn't take too long to blow through those. 11 in total over those 3 categories. Stay with us. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry. with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at www.franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We're constantly adding to the growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, ceramic products, driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, OTK products, and of course, the championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer to winning in karting. At the helm is industry veteran Greg Bell, who has orchestrated the success of many drivers dating back to the mid-1990s. Based in Lodi, California, Leading Edge Motorsports is the Western importer with IP karting that includes the Praga and Formula K chassis brands. Leading Edge Motorsports provides in-depth driver development for those racers in Northern California and across the country. Arrive and drive services, kart preparation, and driver coaching are available under the LEM tent throughout the season. Bell's record of working with drivers includes recent victories at North America's biggest karting events, including the Rock the Rio and the SCUSA Super Nationals. Greg Bell's knowledge for building engines spans 2 decades and is now under the Mega Power branding, providing a reliable engine service and tuning knowledge. No matter the chassis brand, choose Mega Power to get to the front. Click over to leadingedgemotorsports.com for more and find them on social media to stay connected. At Leading Edge Motorsports, winning never gets old. Welcome back to a new edition of the EKN OutLap, where we preview this coming weekend's Challenge of the Americas opener in Tucson, Arizona. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. It's tough, David, to see. We already detailed, of course, just kind of what's going on, the trend now of not having a lot of drivers running the 125cc liquid-cooled tag engines. Just one driver entering into the senior rock category, that's Liam Lech. And then in junior, just 2 drivers in that category as well. Tough to see this program kind of fall away, but you never know what's going to happen. Things could potentially dial back up and get into it. But right now, 100cc is the way to go.
Yeah, especially with the, rock Super Cup final ticket on the line for the champion. You'd expect to see a few more drivers, kind of vying for that to be able to represent their country and the series over there, racing in this category. So, sad to see that the numbers are going down. We do have the returning junior rock champion, Tristan Young, coming back. He was able to earn the ticket to go to Super Final last year. So he'll be back along with Alexander Jacoby, a junior rookie, making the jump up from mini to junior in 2022. Josh Campbell's the only entry in senior rock as of now. So we'll see if we'll have some on track or at track registrations for that category. So he'll be the lone entrant if not. And then the Master Rock, again, that's was one of the headline categories when we first moved over to the Rock Cup or the Rock engine platform, and continues to be one of the more competitive categories that we do have at the Challenge. And this includes 3 current and former series champions, including 3-time champion Derek Wang, Billy Cleveland, and Paul Bonilla coming back to race the Challenge.
Yeah, Bonilla with Josh Huff and JH Motorsports alongside Mike Giles and Bob Fryer as well. But you talk about, Cleveland, Bonilla, and Wang, 3 of the top, Masters drivers that we've seen over the last decade. You throw David Pregandi coming back in as well with Huff, a driver out of Texas. And then how about Chris Mann? Here's Chris obviously moving now up into the Masters categories. I think Chris will be really, really strong. He's obviously a very talented driver. We've seen him over the last 20 years racing, in national events with SCUSA, whatever it was. I like having Chris Mann here as well with Ruthless Karting.
Yeah, it should shake out to be a pretty competitive weekend again in this category. A number of drivers that could be there in the front, and again, it's whoever can come up with the right setup to begin things. So I think you'll see whoever's fast on Friday, I think, is going to be the kind of the benchmark for the weekend.
One thing we'll look for and make sure you follow along. Once we get trackside on Friday morning, we'll start up our Paddock Insider. David, in the junior rock category, Tristan Young is doing double duty. He's running in the 100cc junior as well, and I know we'll talk about that later. Alexander Jacoby lined up just for junior rock. I don't see him in 100cc junior. You got to believe that he could potentially move over to that junior category. You think maybe when he gets trackside?
Yeah, possibly, along with possibly Josh Campbell as well too.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him run double duty last year, so that could be a possibility. I do know Luke Tracy, I think, is the only Masters driver that's going to be doing double duty in the 100cc divisions.
Well, Josh Campbell, I just looked. He's already entered at 100cc senior, so we'll see whether or not he even bothers to roll out in the senior in the senior rock class. All right, we wrap that up, right? Done. Another break.
Done.
Let's go into one more break. When we get two more breaks. When we get back, we'll come back and we'll do 100cc senior and junior, and the master category as well. All air cooled in the next segment. Jenson Button, Jos Verstappen, and Roman Grosjean. All former Techno Kart drivers and champions. Get ready, America, for the Techno Kart invasion. Formed in the 1970s, the Italian manufacturer has new representation in the U.S., and they're already winning races and championships. Technokart USA is owned and operated by top national Masters drivers Laurent Mardan and Christian Vaumier, and they are focused on building the new Technokart dealer network. The Technokart line hits all the different engine platforms in American karting, beginning with the TR28 Special for 4-cycle racing. The TR30 is Techno's chassis for 100cc and 125cc tag competition, and we also have a TR Cadet and Kid Kart for the drivers coming into the younger age groups of the sport. In 2021, Technokart USA will be attending the Rock Cup Florida Winter Tour, the United States Pro Kart Series and Route 66 programs, the Rock the Rio and SCUSA Super Nationals in Las Vegas, and will continue to support our home track, the Badger Kart Club. Race-winning Arrive and Drive programs are available, and kart shops interested in adding a new quality chassis to their lineup should contact us today. Be sure to follow Technokart USA LLC on Facebook and Instagram. We don't just drive trucks because they're dependable workhorses that let us tackle icy roads all winter and tow a boat on the summer weekends. We also drive trucks because they're fun. And the Cooper Discoverer Rugged Trek is a truck tire made with fun in mind. Like any Cooper tire, the Rugged Trek is designed to do everything you need it to do. It's got stone blockades to protect your tires off-road and whisper grooves for smooth, quiet street driving. But with its in-your-face design, like the dual sidewalls that let you choose between two aggressive looks, the Cooper Discoverer Rugged Trek is also a tire that shows off your truck's wild side. It's the tire that's off-road party on the outside and dependable all-purpose Cooper design on the inside. Learn more at coopertire.com. Go with the Coopers. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, our preview podcast, the OutLap for this weekend's challenge event at Tucson, Arizona. Looking forward to getting out into what sounds to be pretty good weather midday, maybe a little chilly in the morning. We'll bring the jacket and the gloves and the hat out. David, 100cc senior, 22 drivers in total. Last year's champion Liam Letch won a couple of races. Blake Nash was in there winning races, as was Jake Drew, as was Macy Williams. He had a number of race winners in that 100cc senior class, and I like the way it's lining up for this year as well.
Yeah, Letch is going to be coming out as a defending champion, so obviously the bullseye is going to be on his back. It's also with a new team. We knew he moved over to the GFC tent at the end of 2021, so he's kind of gotten accustomed to racing with GFC, and so now the goal is to come out and try and defend that championship from last year. We don't have Blake Nash on the entry list, and we have already talked about Macy Williams moving up to the shifter ranks. So the only other winner in the field is teammate Jake Drew, who is also on aboard the GFC, coming off a pole position at the SCUSA Super Nationals 24 in the X30 senior division. So Jake Drew, the shoe, knows how to drive.
I'm going to blast a little message up here while we're talking to Seth Nash to find out whether or not they may have not just got Blake entered yet. Because I think the Nash guys are going to be there. So yeah, they are. Yeah. We know. Yeah, they're going to be there.
We know the Nash guys are going to be there. It's again, Blake could be one of those the walk up entries that we see come Thursday or Friday morning. So I assume that's going to happen. But as of right now, we can't talk about him because he's not entered.
I know. That's just drives me crazy. You mentioned a couple of young ladies in the field as well. We've got Lainey Benjamin and Lydia Small running again, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, Lainey is the last year's junior 100cc champion, so she's making the move up to the senior ranks along with Lydia as well. So two senior rookies, female drivers, making the jump up to the senior ranks. So kind of keep an eye on how they perform on the weekend. Some other drivers to mention: Eddie Shimon. He should be good on the GFC. Cole Schrader, another driver who's got a lot of experience. Jackson Dunn, another driver who's performed well in 100cc. So a number of different drivers that could be in the hunt.
Dave, did you mention Kyriakos Soukas?
We did not. I did not.
He's definitely going to be a guy I think is going to be in the fight here as well. I think all those guys you just mentioned could be in a big train up front, because that's one of the beauties of this racetrack and this race package, right? It's so, everybody's so evenly matched. You get into that group, a little bit of draft going on. We could see at least 10 drivers in a lead group.
Yeah, especially with the way the racetrack is, how it flows, and you're pretty much on the gas the majority of the lap. You're not really off of it that much. So yeah, you're gonna see some pack racing for sure. Very similar to what you see on the high banks of Daytona.
One of the cool things is we jump now over into the junior 100cc class. We've got 23 drivers in total. David had mentioned Lainey Benjamin, last year's champion, graduating up to the senior class. We had a couple of female winners last year too, both Lainey and Lydia Small getting race wins. But David, there's always, because it's a pretty wide age window, right? So like you mentioned, you get a couple drivers that could be in junior for 3 years. Then we get the kids coming out of the mini class as well. And that's kind of what I see a little bit. There's a couple of kids that are coming out of mini that I think will be super strong. But then there's some drivers who have had a little more time in junior that could really be running up front.
Yeah, 12 to 15, that's the age range for the junior category. So you're never quite sure, like you said, you get those drivers that are in junior for a third year, or or even the second year. That's kind of when they shine and kind of step up after getting that rookie season under their belt. But yeah, a number of different drivers coming up from the mini ranks, but also a number of different drivers staying into the junior ranks that won last year. We have 3 of the 6 different winners that we had last year returning in the junior ranks. We have Stephen Acert and Cooper Auclair, along with I'm trying to find his name, Alexander Gonzalez. So those 3 drivers won last year in this category. So they're coming in with victories under their belt, have the ability to do it again in 2022. But again, a number of different very competitive and full field of drivers. We talk about Parker DeLong. He's no stranger to being on top of the podium. So I think this is his second full season in the junior ranks. So this could be kind of his year where he shines and kind of steps up, as well as maybe an Alex Rentala moving over to GFC. He's got a full year of junior racing under his belt as well too. So those are some of the drivers that are coming back after junior ranks or full season in the junior ranks. But a number of different drivers moving up from mini as well.
Yeah, think about that. What do you think about John Antonino coming up into the junior 100cc? We've seen John win a bunch of races in the cadet category. We know he dominated that one year we were at Lancaster, but he's won a lot of great races. What do you think about John jumping up into the 100cc class with RF Delta Sport?
Yeah, coming in as the mini rock champion from last year, won 5 of the 6 races in last year's Challenge of the Americas. The only driver to beat him was Rocky Moran, who is also moving up into the junior 100cc category. Rocky running under the Ryan Perry Motorsports aboard a Tony kart. So those are probably going to be the leading drivers in the rookie campaign going into the weekend.
Okay. Of course, I got Seth Nash literally trying to call me right now. Hold on. This is perfect. Seth Nash, we're recording our podcast right now. So you're kind of live right now. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yes.
There you go, Cole. I just got the confirmation. Blake's not running.
Blake's not running. There we go.
I don't want to sponsor him. No, no. Our margins are pretty thin over here. Let me get back to this podcast, Seth, but I appreciate you calling me. All right. There you go. Phone ringing live. So Blake, no, he's not going to run this weekend.
That's a first. I don't think we've ever had anybody call while we are doing our pod. I think we've had some text messages, but
we've had text messages.
We've never had somebody call. So it's good. At least maybe he likes to talk to people rather than texting. So maybe Seth is more of a talker than a texter.
Well, I sent the text and he called me back. So yeah, you got to think that's probably the way. Maybe he's driving down the road, right? Maybe he just
could be too. Yeah, California, you never know.
That's true. I love it. Well, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of guys jumping up into the ranks from the mini class. You mentioned Antonino, who had such a great run last year. He and Moran. So I like it, man. I love having the rookie class coming in. You mentioned Parker DeLong. He's been at it at the top level for a couple of years. He's definitely going to be, I think, I would probably put him as one of the primary guys to beat right now going into the weekend. No?
Yeah, including those 3 drivers that won last year, I would probably put those 4 drivers out front as the targets for everybody else in the field.
Let's have a look now at the Masters 100cc class. 10 pre-entries coming into the event. Sadly, though, the 2021 champ Mike Smith not running here this weekend.
It's that's kind of what we see sometimes in motorsports or in karting. We don't see the defending champion come back. Sometimes it's budget. Sometimes it's just moving off to other programs. For Mike, I think we might see a little bit more of him behind the mic a little bit, maybe. Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah. But it sucks that he is not able to defend his championship. But again, you can't take away that trophy that he's already earned.
No, he had a sponsor and a good supporter last year that didn't come back for this season. So, of course, Mike, the manager at Cal Speed, I'm sure he'll be doing a bunch of racing throughout this year. When we do look at it, though, you think of some of the winners from last year: Tim Meyer, Carlos Calderon, Brett Harrelson. Not a lot of guys. I think the only guy we got coming back is Brett Harrelson, and I think he's going to be definitely one to watch for Nash Motorsports. You put Ian Kunchez in there as well. Otherwise, there's a bunch of names of guys that have run the series before coming back to play, like a Mike Weatherman. To see Mike out there. Preston Newberry for Forward Direction Motorsports. Preston, of course, was a top mechanic for many years. You got a lot of guys jumping back in. Of course, Uncle Jimmy coming back to play as well.
Yeah, Uncle Jimmy's back, and he'll be playing the music and having the drinks flowing for sure. But yeah, looking at it overall, I would say Harrelson's probably going to be one of the most competitive ones out there. Ian Kunchez as well. Kunchez was probably one of the top Masters drivers last year on the West Coast, along with Harrelson. We didn't see Harrelson too much last year, but he did score a victory when we went to Cal Speed for the challenge. So I expect him to be, one of the quick drivers along with Ian. Weatherman might surprise you along with Newberry. If they can keep, things together, they might be able to challenge for podiums as well too.
I agree 100%. You mentioned Luke Tracy doing double duty. We'll see whether or not that extra track time helps him out. Otherwise, only one more segment still to go. We're going to go for our final break of this edition of the EKN OutLap. When we come back, we'll preview Mini Rock and Micro Rock and wrap things up. Stay with us. More to come. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment: Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. The ST5 KRT karting helmet is available for $599. Manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material, the KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for the younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision. The perfect youth helmet is available for $549. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva Rib Protector is unlike any on the market, with its form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these and many more products to keep you safe on the track. Stilo, any competition, one helmet. It all started in 1994, when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years, and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Arjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Welcome back to the final segment of this edition of the EKN OutLap, where myself, Rob Howden, and David Cole previewing this coming weekend's Challenge of the Americas event from Tucson, Arizona. Dave, let's wrap things up and talk about the cadet categories. Micro Rock with 16 drivers total. Last year's champion, John Antonino, as we said, graduating up to the 100cc junior category. Both he and the other winner from last year, Rocky Moran, are gone. So no former winners in the field. That's going to kind of open things up a little bit for the mini drivers to see who could be the guy to beat. I think one to watch will be Ashton Woon, and I look at Braylon Underwood as well.
Yeah, those are two drivers moving up from the Micro Rock into the Mini Rock division for 2022. So they'll be among those fighting for that rookie classification, top rookie classification on the season. Probably the more experienced driver in the mini field, which is, 16 drivers, going to be a good field, but a lot of names we're not familiar with.
Agreed.
So something very similar to last year. So that's kind of the good part about the challenge is bringing in new drivers to the program. But really, the only driver we really know, Nico Serafati. He's got a full year of mini racing under his belt. So we'll see if he's able to use that experience to his advantage and come away with a couple of victories on the weekend.
Yeah, you're right. And I wholeheartedly agree. I kind of looked at this and went, wow, there's a lot of names I don't really know much about here right now. Drivers coming in, I think, from some of the regional programs and some of the club programs, the younger drivers here in Mini Rock. So looking forward to that. And the three we mentioned are surely going to be running up front.
We have nearly half the Canadians in this field. 2 Canadians, actually.
I saw that.
So, Ty Fisher from Race Lab, and where'd the other one go? Harrison Jeffrey racing under the Ruthless Karting tent on a nitro kart from Calgary. So a BC and an Alberta driver coming down.
Let's wrap things up with the 4 drivers we have in the Micro Rock category. Jackson Porter, who won the championship last year, returning. Ashton Woon was one of the winners as well, but of course he's moved up. So you've got Jackson Porter, but kind of a surprise entry, David, that you brought to my attention, and we've seen him race in Florida. He actually did the SCUSA Winter Series and was on the podium on one of the races, top 5s in the mini Swift category. Then he went and ran the Rock Cup Florida Winter Tour race. I think did well there as well. Rocco Simoni out of Florida. I actually covered his dad, Anthony, when he was racing cadet karting back in the mid 90s. But Rocco's been looking really good. He ran with Parolin USA at the SCUSA race on with VME kart this weekend. I think Rocco could be interesting to watch. He's never been on this racetrack before, so he'll have to maximize all the practice time.
Yeah, 4th race in 5 weeks on 4th different kart. So
wow. That'll
be unique. Again, he's adapted well. He won on the Burrell. He podiumed on the what did he race at?
Parolin.
The Parolin.
Yep.
And then he podiumed. I think he podiumed at the Florida Winter Tour on the what did he race there? OT.
I don't know.
Was it
Was
it
not
the
on
OTK?
Parallel?
No, it was not on the Parallel. I thought it was on an OTK maybe, or it was something else.
You keep talking, I'll find out. I'm sure I'm working.
Yeah, so I think we'll see a good fight between he and Porter. Porter obviously has the track knowledge of racing at Tucson and being from Arizona, so he'll have that to his advantage. Kason Hodge and Luca Popescu.
Luca Popescu.
Yep. So they'll be
another Canadian.
Another Canadian, yeah.
Yeah. FYI, just looked over. Rocco Simone, second place behind Tyrone Kemper Jr. on the Parallel USA at the event for Micro Rock. So indeed, on Parallel for back-to-back weekends,
so
SCUSA.
Third cart in 4 different races.
Third cart in 4 different races.
But in 5 weeks.
Over 5 weeks. That's right. So there's Micro Rock for you, folks. 4 drivers in total. Obviously, we'd love to have had more drivers come out here. But again, this category, the micros, you just never know. Like David has said, a number of those drivers graduating up last year into the mini rock. That's why we've got a pretty solid 16 kart mini rock grid. All in all, though, hoping for 125 to 130 to start the season off, and again continuing growth with this challenge of the Americas. David, I'm looking forward to getting trackside. You and I both love being at this particular facility. The racing's fantastic, and one of the words we always use to describe challenge racing, it's family, right? Getting back out with the challenge family. Looking forward to having a really good weekend.
Yeah, excited to get back to the challenge family. Again, we'll be all trackside Friday, bright and early, getting set up. We're again doing Paddock Insider, and we'll be doing our second edition of the Tent Talk. We'll probably be setting up in the GFC tent, I think, is what we're aiming to do. So we'll get with Gary Carlton and get set up for that. We'll try, you'll probably do a little bit of track announcing for that Friday. I think we'll kind of put you on the mic for trackside. We won't stream that, as we'll be getting ready for the Tent Talk right after that. But again, you'll get to see and talk to some people and get some insight as to, changes that people are making and some other cool things. So again, get you down from the tower and out talking with the people.
That's it. Well, folks, again, that's going to wrap up this edition of the EKN OutLap. Throughout the weekend, listen live on ekartingnews.com/live. We'll also be streaming it on the EKN Radio Network, so you can tune in there as well. One of the big things we do, obviously, in 2021, 2022 and beyond, is really heavily into the social media side of it. So make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll be putting a lot of content up there, a lot of stuff on Instagram. We'll do our 1-minute flats every morning to kind of dial things in. If you want to just search it, just search the hashtags as well. Hashtag EKN at CODA, hashtag Tucson, and hashtag Let's Rock. Looking forward to getting there. David, any final words? Man, we're on, I think my flight, I think I leave in the afternoon on Thursday. We don't get into late Thursday night just because of the way the flights were. But out to Tucson, and we'll have Waffle House. We'll have Waffle House on Friday morning. How's that sound?
In and out in the afternoon.
All right, that works. That works for me. Sure. Done. All good?
It's all good.
All right, folks. That wraps things up for this edition of the EKN OutLap. Again, tune in this coming weekend. Challenge in America is getting rolling again. That growth of this program continuing. Some great numbers in 100cc and in shifters. We expect some tremendous side-by-side racing. This track, Tucson, Musselman Honda Circuit, some of the best racing we ever get the chance to see. If it's back on the schedule for 2023, pin it in, because this is the track. It's a bucket list racetrack that you want to get to. Just such a tremendous layout and some great racing for sure. Again, big thank you to our broadcast partner, our presenting sponsor of this edition of the OutLap, Acceleration Kart Racing. Always great to have Brooke and Curtis on board with us. But thank you so much for tuning in once again, folks. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.